Hi, I'm Dr. Stephanie Brenner from Compass PD. I'm really excited about being able to come to you now doing something I've never done before. I'm currently on the road and got so excited about the work I'm doing that I decided, why not do a podcast really quick and share with more people? That's how excited I am about the work that I have been able to do in schools today and again tomorrow. So I'm really eager to share this with you. I promise I'm not going to take too much of your time, but the time that you do spend with me today will be very valuable, and you'll walk away with a strategy of something that you can do to help improve the planning you go through and the planning you do in order to conduct conferences or even small groups with your students in a way that is very responsive to their needs. So I'm really excited. Some things that you'll need with you. Let's go ahead and get started. Some things you'll need. One, well, as always, like you're going to need some stuff to write on and some stuff to write with. So that's a given. But other things that you are going to need in order to do this work. The first thing is you're going to need what we call at Compass PD the Comprehensive Standards Guides, or the CSGs. That is a product that we have available on the market for people to purchase. It is every single ELA and math standard completely unpacked. And when I say that it's unpacked, that means it also includes progressions, objectives, vocabulary, and proficiency scales all in one place. So we call that the Comprehensive Standards Guides. I have one here with me today that I will be using and referring to. If you don't have the comprehensive standards guides or the CSGs, that's okay. You can still do this work if you have unpacked standards. With those unpacked standards, you really do need proficiency scales and progressions along with the objectives to do what we're going to be doing today. So you need some standards, some things to write with and write on, and you're going to need something that you use currently as a resource that provides a bank of strategies, preferably something that also gives insight into how a lesson would look teaching that strategy. For our purposes today, I'm going to actually be using my um, tried and true reading strategies book. And this is the first edition. There is the 2.0 edition that I have here and ready for us to use as well. So that is the resource I will be using to find strategies and how I could teach those strategies. And then the final thing is you having some type of conference structure. So I'm going into this right now with the mindset that I'm planning conferences. And so I need instruction that I can have ready um, in my head for when I sit down next to a kid, and some ideas are going in my mind about what they might need. But within that, I need some type of structure that helps my conference flow really well. So I don't forget to give a compliment. I don't forget to give a teaching point that's really clear and explicit. And I don't forget to model that and give time for them to practice while they're sitting next to me. The structure that I will be using for conferences is one that I have developed, and it is a compilation of several different resources and several different programs and research that allows me to not only have the basic structure of my conference, but also some prompts that help me when I'm getting stuck possibly in a part of the conference so that I can move on and know what to say. The work that we'll be doing today with the CSGs, the strategies, guides will help the instruction I give be really clear and explicit, and also set the kids up for success because I can scaffold it and give them time to practice with me. Okay, are you ready to dig in? So we got the things that we need. Now, what is it that we're going to actually do, Stephanie? Well, what we're actually going to do is It really is the work that I've been doing and partnering with the school district today and again tomorrow. I'm absolutely thrilled. This district has been working so hard for many years to improve student learning, and they've been doing their best in so many ways. This year, they invested in having the CSGs for all of their teachers, K-12, in math and reading. So my time with them today and again tomorrow is going to be how can we utilize the CSGs in our PLCs, in our planning, and then one step further, what does the instruction of that look like? So it's been a super exciting day, and I get to do it again tomorrow. I'm very honored, but I want to break down the steps because it's replicable and a lot of people can do it. So this is what we did, essentially the steps that we have been using. So we're going to plan conferences and we're going to be using the CSGs. And we're going to be using a strategies resource so that the structure that we use is very clear, succinct, and I get the most bang out of my little bit of time in a conference with a student. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to study the unpacked standard, or we're going to study the CSG. We're going to look at the different parts, wrap our head around the language, the expectations. What does the progression of skills look like? What does mastery really look like? And what's it mean? So that I can start brainstorming some strategies that kids might need. Teachers know their kids. You know the kids in the grade level you teach. So you have an idea of what are some strategies you typically teach when you're introducing that subject or that skill. And we need to have those in the back of our head. But we might get other ideas of things that we need to be ready to teach into based off the progression and also our peers. So it's really fun to do this work with your group of teachers, your like teachers. So we're going to brainstorm. After that, we're going to go into the resource that we have that's full of strategies to actually identify what strategies do I need, can I go tomorrow and teach my students, or later today and teach my students? We're going to mark them because not only is it the predictable ones that kids are going to need for this standard, but it's also predictable ones for things that are in the progression of the standard and just what I know about kids at this age and this particular point of the school year. And I want to have those marked in my resource so they're ready to go. Finally, the last step is not what we're going to do here, but what you will be doing and what I get to continue doing tomorrow is going to teach the lessons and the conferences that we plan using the structure and what the planning we've done with the resources. So let's get in. I want to model what this looks like. So the first part, we're going to study our unpack standard, or we're going to study the CSG. And for us to do this, we're going to just really start by reading the standard, what it actually says. So the standard actually just says, describe the overall structure, chronology, comparison, cause and effect, problem solution of events, ideas, concepts, or information in a text or part of a text. Okay, so that has a lot of vocabulary in there. And I can come here and look at my learning targets. So the kids really have to describe, they have to describe the overall structure of events, ideas, and concepts in a text or part of a text. And that is going to be some really complex work. And we need to note too, this is informational text and it's fourth grade level. All right, so I got my brain kind of wrapped around that. Let's look at the objectives. And what's beautiful about the CSGs is that the objectives highlight things that the kids need to know in the progression of skills to get to mastery and what we should see explicitly. So I can measure, I can assess these things. I can be looking for these things in some kind of assessment. And that's what the students should be able to. And that's so that's here. But then there are these other things that are big ideas, big understandings that the standard assumes kids understand and know and assumes that kids are successful with this so that they can meet the standard at the expected level. But these are implicit. The standard doesn't say this anywhere. We just, as teachers, have to infer that kids need to understand these things, and we need to teach into these things if they don't understand it. That might be why kids are being not as successful in the standard as we would expect. So let's read through this. So kids need to understand that text features extend information or help readers access information quickly, that text features help readers locate information in the text quickly, that text features and text structures are different, but both help readers understand a text deeply. Authors purposely choose text structures to complement the information in a text or part of a text. Not all texts use the same structure. That's really important to know. Authors might use different structures in the same text. That makes a lot of sense. And that really goes with this one up here, that they purposefully choose text structures to complement the information in a part of a text or the whole text. And finally, readers use structures to describe information in a text or in a part of a text. So reader, you can't forget all of those awesome text features along with the structures that are present within the text. So for this standard, things that we should be able to see and measure and assess. Kids need to be able to read closely. And I'm kind of thinking already, like, what's that look like? What's a strategy that kids might need for that? Kids have to be able to identify key ideas, identify events, concepts, or information in a text or part of a text. Okay. Kids have to be able to record information while reading. All right. My mind's still like already jumping to the next part where we're brainstorming strategies, but I got to hold myself back here. Um, kids also need to be able to identify chronologic comparison, cause and effect, and problem solution text structures in a text or part of a text. So they have to identify them. Then they have to describe the structure of events, ideas, concepts, or information in part of a text. All right. Then they also have to describe the overall structure of events, ideas, concepts, or information in a text or part of a text. So describe the structure of events and describe the overall structure of events, because this one says in part of a text. So that's different. Can they describe the structure of events, ideas, concepts, or information in part of a text? But it goes one step farther to be in a text or part of a text. Okay. Now I'm going to keep studying this. The next part is the progression. So this is very student friendly. It's a student facing part of the CSGs that take the objectives, which are already in a hierarchy of skill, and put them into a student-friendly version that helps kids see how they can progress to get to mastery in this standard. So what their own growth might look like. So in order to be here, they have to do this, they have to do this, they have to do this. And then they can start working on these things, which is eventually going to get them here. So if I look, step one, the kids have to be able to read closely. They have to be able to identify these things in a text or part of a text. They also have to be able to record information while reading. Then we move on, and it's the exact same language of the standard or of the objectives here from that other part, but it's broken down. So if I have to, like, where's my brain going to go for brainstorming? Where are most of my kids? That's what I'm thinking right now, is like, where do I need to begin with the strategies? Where do I think most of my kids are? And finally, the last part of the CSG that I need to study is the proficiency scale. And the proficiency scale is a way to assess the standard. And it's where mastery is a level 3. with this particular standard, there was only one learning target, which is what we saw at the very front. So that's the only thing here. The other learning target in this one actually comes from RI 3.5. So what does mastery look like in third grade? And how could that's the stepping stone be to mastery in fourth grade? And we need kids to have something that's the stepping stone in the grade level. So it makes sense to put the third grade mastery here when a particular standard only has one learning target. So that's why we see that here. All right. My brain is full. I've studied my unpacked standard, and now I need to begin brainstorming some strategies that I think kids are going to need based off of what I know about kids and the progression and even the objectives, because I'm thinking that these implicit ones, I'm wondering if there's some things here that I need to be ready to teach into with my students. And like I said, having a mindset of where are most of my students at this time of the year when it comes to this standard. And we might be hovering in this like 1 to 2 part. And that's okay because 3 is the end of the year. So that's fine. But I want to get my brain ready for these strategies. So my head's already going a mile a minute. And because I'm thinking of strategies, some of the things that first come to mind, like when we see read closely, do kids know what it means to read closely? So that's basically monitoring their meaning. So do they know how to monitor meaning? And that means when they get stuck, when they realize they haven't been paying attention, so lose attention. Just writing these down for now because I don't want to forget all my brainstorming. Monitoring meaning, so when they're stuck, when they lose attention, those are the things that come to my mind. And it's closely related to this next one too, or this part of the progression where it's read information while reading or record information while reading. And that is probably a predictable problem. Do kids know how to jot? So they're thinking, jot their thinking. And some strategies for that are literally just have like an emoji. It could be that they put a quick summary on a post-it. It could be that they record different thoughts they're having, which could be when we teach them these things like questions, parts they love, things that are confusing, things that made them smile or laugh, parts that maybe parts that they need to discuss with their partner later. It's supposed to be a dialogue bubble, but that's not what it looks like. It looks kind of like a whale. So I apologize. It's meant to be a dialogue bubble. But we need to teach kids what kinds of thinking they should be doing so that they can record it. And that might be a strategy. Anything else with jotting their thinking? No, not right now. But this, when I wrote summary on a post-it, I'm wondering if kids know how to do a summary. We might need to teach a strategy for doing a summary. Some other strategies that kids might need, I'm thinking, do they know this vocabulary? Because before they can identify it, do they know the words? So I might need to teach vocab. And that's actually one of the basic processes and prerequisites on the proficiency scale. We're assuming kids know the vocabulary, but I'm wondering if they know what it means. So if I say to a kid, what's a key idea? Can you find key ideas? Can you identify events? Can you identify concepts or information within the text? So teaching the vocabulary, and I'm thinking we might need to teach them how to identify key ideas, identify events, identify concepts or information. I am also wondering if they are going to know these vocabulary words, or could they identify just chronology? Can they identify comparison? Can they identify cause and effect? Can they identify problem and solution text structures? So I'm wondering if they can just, I might need to be ready to teach into that. So identifying the structures. I also think that I need to be ready to teach into like, what's it mean to identify the text structures? What words do I look for? Are there phrases? Are there images? Which leads me into like things I can look for also are um, text features. So can they identify them? Do they know how to use? So I need strategies for all of these things. Can they use them? And another thing that's really kind of coming to my mind, because I know that this is a struggle with students, is this last part of the standard that says in a text or part of a text, because there's a big difference. And that was in the standard here where we can see that they can describe the structures in part of a text, but they also have to be able to do it in the entire text, not just part of a text. So it's like part to whole type of thing. So strategies for putting it all together. So put together info, and that's like part to whole. All right, so I have studied my unpack standard. I've brainstormed some strategies kids might need. Now I'm going to look for in my resource for lessons that help me know how to teach strategies for these things. So let's dig into the resources, and we're going to put post it on them and note them somehow so that I can find that later when I'm in the middle of my conference. But I mean my list here of strategies. So I was thinking that I'm going to need to monitor meaning, jot strategies for jotting their thinking, summaries, vocabulary, identifying key events, identifying structures, text features, part to whole. And this book is so full and has so much stuff, it can be overwhelming. But I do know that it has a few chapters that are devoted to informational text only. So I'm going to start there. I got to start somewhere, and that's where I'm going to start. So the first one is about supporting comprehension in nonfiction. And I'm just going to kind of browse the table of contents here and see if any of these strategies come to mind, or like they seem like they're going to fit with my list here. So determining main topics and main ideas. Let's see. One text, notice what repeats. Okay. Ooh, most important to whom? Ooh, facts add up. Okay, my brain's getting pumped here. I think there are some good ones here. So let's skim real quick. Real quick, just kind of looking for some strategies that gonna going to help me teach into these things that I've already brainstormed. Go in. Oh, I'm seeing this one. So, because this like part to whole, I could probably do this part to whole. So I'm just going to put a post-it up here on this one because part to whole. And this strategy is actually 8.7. So this is about taking little parts of the text and putting it all together. So I'm actually going to even just write 8.7 on my brainstorming sheet, but I have it marked. Keep going. So we have a lot to find. We have a lot of things we track down. Oh, look, there we go. Track down some clues that are going to help us identify. Look, see, oh, here we go. What are the words? What might things look like? Oh, this is it. This is a good one. This is 8.12. So the text structures, text structures, 8.12. Let's keep going. There's so much in here. So much. Oh, there's another one. Parts. Time equals parts. So we have 8:14. And I'm wondering, oh, the vocabulary one, the one we just did would also be vocabulary. So time parts. That's probably going to be the text structure. I already wrote that down, but we need to get it marked. Keep going. Another strategy. Oh, here we go. Consider the structure. Look at this. Here we go. Oh man, this one's rich. It has vocabulary. It has the key words. It has the different structures. It has visuals for all of that. Oh my, this is going to be, this is like probably the it strategy, and it is 8:19. This is going to be so good. Okay. All right, now let's keep going. Ah. Oh, here we go. Next one on it's the next goal or topic on for nonfiction, and it's supporting comprehension, determining key details. And we know that that is actually in our standard. So we should be able to find something in here. Okay, but I want to be fast, so we're gonna go quick. No, 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 no. Ooh, let's look at this. Scan and plan. I bet that would be good because it's about all the different text features and kids wrapping their head around them, noticing them before they even begin to read, so their brain's ready. That'll be a good one. Ah, look at this. Yes, yes, we need this. Because I brainstormed that I'm wondering if kids need to know how to jot their thinking. And look right here, this is a strategy for jotting their thinking. And this is 9:11. Oh, nice. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. This is probably going to be important too. Like, what is important versus what's interesting? Because when I'm trying to describe the overall structure, I have to weed out information, and that can be pretty hard for kids. So I bet that this is actually going to be one that would be beneficial. And I didn't even have it on my brainstorming list here, so I'm actually going to add it. So important versus, what did it say? Important versus interesting. And it's 9:13. Okay, so you kind of get the point now, right? Where I can study my unpacked standard or study my CSGs. I brainstorm strategies that I think I'm going to need to teach my kids in order to meet the standard. So what are some predictable strategies my kids will need to use? I want to have that at the top of my thinking before I even go into my conferences or small groups. Then I'm going to go find where a lesson is or some strategies for actually teaching that strategy, some help teaching that strategy. What does it look like and sound like to teach that strategy is so important, so that now that I've identified this as a lesson, well, I'm more likely to teach it and use it because I've found it and I know it directly relates to my standard. So I've done these three things. The thing that's left for me to do is to go teach and to use my structure for conferencing along with the planning that I have just done to teach this conference. That is the work that I did today and what I get to do again tomorrow that has me so excited, because not only did we get to do this work together as a team, but we actually got to go in the classroom and conference with students using the work that we did. So we actually got to step 4. The entire grade levels went into a lab site classroom and practiced giving a conference using the CSGs, using the brainstorming and the resource, so that we were ready for whatever kids said to us when we sat down next to them to have a conference. And it was just an incredible day of learning, and it was so heartwarming. I just had to share it with you. Thank you for spending time with me. I hope that you are walking away with validation that, hey, I'm on the right track. This is the right kind of work to be doing and spending my time doing. So, validation, or potentially a new way of thinking about planning for your strategies, or your strategy groups or your conferences. Have a wonderful day. I would love to hear from you if you give this a go, how it's going, or if you want more information about either the CSGs or what are lab sites and what do they look like? How do I make that happen in my school? Please reach out. Thank you.